Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Friday Mastermind. I'm Dave Savage, and we've got Todd Bookspan back. What's up, Mr. Bookspan?
You know, it is so awesome to be back and with all of you after my world travels. It's a blessing to be able to travel, but it's nice to be home.
Good, good. Well, we've got Jen Duplessis joining us today. Hey, Jen, how's it going?
Good. Good morning, everybody. Happy to be with you consistently for a couple weeks.
Good. Well, it's good to have you. And we have Michelle Town. She wasn't able to log in and turn on her video, but I know she can hear us and she's on via phone. Hey, Michelle.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday to you. So by the way, we are hearing some folks that are having challenges clicking on their links and getting in. So we're gonna try to figure that out. It is pushing on Facebook Live. So hopefully that is a place where people can join the group. Marcy, if you could grab a link from here and share it in our Facebook private group, and let's try to get this call out to everybody. You think you can do that?
I sure can.
All right, thanks, Marcy. All right, guys, so here's the topics today. Everything I'm hearing in the market, whether I'm talking to a C-suite, whether I'm talking to a loan officer, the challenges with price compression are just, the term I keep hearing is the price compression wars. So, there's more rate shopping than ever. It's more competitive than ever. So we're going to make that a topic. And by the way, I wrote a LinkedIn article over the past week. It was inspired from Scriptpalooza and a few other interviews that I've done. So we're gonna talk about that. It'll be a topic. And any questions you have around that article, be ready to ask them either in Facebook Live or through Zoom. Also, we've been getting a lot of questions about database strategies. I think most loan officers are figuring out that is where the gold is. One, there's a lot of loans within our database. And two, if we're working that database, we can bring leads back to our partners. So we're gonna talk about that. And then there's been some great questions. I mean, first of all, every week there's great questions, but we're going to try to make it a rhythm so that every week we're answering questions that are posted into our Facebook group. So Todd, why don't you kick it off? Because I know you read the article that I did on lead conversion. Why don't you share some of your top of mind thoughts after you read it? And for any loan officer that's tuned in, I'll actually show it on my screen here in a minute. Let's think of it as like a syllabus, like we have this, we're teachers, we have this homework assignment, and we want to walk people through it. So I'll share my screen, and why don't you start sharing some thoughts?
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, first off, Dave, I've always loved your articles, but I have to say this one, I mean, I can't think of one I think that's necessarily better. I mean, I think your annual mortgage review one is great also, but the bottom line is you just said it right. It's a syllabus. I mean, it's truly for any LO, whether you're brand new or experienced. I mean, you really just laid out, hey, here is what you should be focused on, and here's what you need to do. I love the fact that you've got all of the different, scripts kind of like, itemized in there, right? I mean, you've got what Danny says, and then you've got a link to it. You've got a link to Josh's, you have his little rate script, and you've got a link to it. So, I mean, I think you just laid it out so well of what people need to do. And I mean, ultimately, I think right there, even with your number one, right, that technology isn't going to replace loan officers, but loan officers who master technology will replace those who don't. I mean, it's just so critical right now. I feel like, people are so scared of all the fast online rocket stuff. And I was having a conversation with Coach Bill Hart the other day, and, he said there's people that are worried about it. And, but we were kind of coming up with this idea. Is anyone actually losing a loan to a computer, or somewhere along the way is the person getting frustrated with the computer and hopping on with a human? And we got a small thread going on it in the Facebook group, which we love more commentary on, because it's definitely interesting to hear from, you guys out there. But, I mean, the bottom line is it's awesome. I mean, you did such a great job. I think it's a great gift to the community. And I mean, I'll be interested to see what the other feedback is on it, but my initial run through this morning, and I'll spend some more time on it and be sharing it with clients and friends, is really to get other feedback. But when I have it, I'll give it to you. I didn't really see that there was any gaps in it. It's great.
Good. Well, I first of all, I know it's gaps. Also, I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. While I was, call it, the person that put my name on it and authored it, it was a team effort. I mean, this is an article that not only did, dozens of mortgage professionals who are in the trenches provide all of the content and conversations I have with the C-suite, but internally as a company, I trust me, if I wrote this by myself, it would be hard to read and it would have lots of misspellings and it would not be a great article. So I do think it's a great article. It's been a team project at Mortgage Coach. And part of our goal is like, hey, we've got this comprehensive, it's a 20 to 30 minute read. I mean, it's not something that you could just, skim. I mean, you can skim it and get some value, but really we designed it so that it was a 20, no more than 30 minute read. And then we designed it so that it's also kind of an exercise that you would do. At the end, we even gave you some suggestions, step 1, step 2, step 3, and that you would put in, 20 to 30 minutes of reading. You'd put in a jam session worth of reflecting on your current practices, and then you would have a playbook to improve your conversion. A couple more thoughts that I want to go around the room with Jen and Michelle. The other thing I tried to do is really focus on, this isn't just lead conversion. Based off the interviews I've had with top producers, the most successful loan officers are not trying to win the lead. It's not like, oh, I want to talk to you, get a credit report, and put you into process. By the way, there are a lot of loan officers, that's the goal, to go from lead to credit report to app, but it's from lead to client for life. So the best loan officers, they're just playing a different game. They're looking at that client in the very first conversation and saying, I want you to be a client for life. And not only am I telling you how I'm going to help you with this transaction, but I've got a script that's telling you how I'm going to manage your mortgage. I'm going to help you get a good loan now, and I'm going to help you get a good loan next time and the next time. So really, you're signing on with me for multiple transactions. That's how we would put it as an industry insider. But as a family, you're signing on to always have the most effective mortgage that's going to help you build wealth with real estate. So I think that's an important nuance. Todd, did you have something?
Can I throw some in, Dave, on that? Yeah, it's great because one of the people you highlight in there and you put out her script is Lori Richardson. And one of the things that I love, and my favorite stories of many with Lori is that she had a client, and it's just one of those things where if I remember it correctly, like she was like, all right, I got to jump on and make calls. It was a busy week, and she has got a commitment to be calling her clients, and she hadn't talked to this guy in a couple of years. They had just not connected, right? She had made her calls, but they had never connected. And when she looked at his loan, it was ready for a refi. It was good to go. And his comment to her, because he was sort of surprised since they hadn't connected, and he probably could have done it slightly sooner, was, that she, in her mind, she's thinking, I can't believe he hasn't refied. He said, well, I get all that mail. You told me if I got mail about my mortgage and it wasn't from you, to just throw it away, because when it was time, you and I would connect. And so that's just the power of that script. When you do that, and if you've connected with your clients and you've built that trust, right? I mean, trust is such a key, and you're invested in it. And she had called every year, as she said that she would, but that way, when it's time, they're ready for you. They want you to do it. And so I just love that story where the guy's like, oh yeah, you told me to throw away that other mail. So, I mean, that's just such a key, especially now. I was talking to a client earlier this week, and year to date, 47% of his transactions are referred from his database. I mean, that's huge, right? I mean, so many people are investing time, and really they're investing money with their realtors and in online leads. I mean, think about that. You're people who already know you and trust you and did a loan with you. If you're not investing some time, actually a lot of time, and not investing, maybe a little bit of money, really just your time in it, then, you're losing out on big opportunity.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, something tactical I wanted to remind folks of is, for every for every script, so I think there's 6 different scripts that I pulled. If you click on the link, it'll take you right to the place in Scriptpalooza where that conversation takes place. So while Scriptpalooza was 1 hour long, if you click on the link here, it'll take you right to where it was. And then also at the bottom of every script, we actually, all within LinkedIn, you could go through this whole course. So it's an article, but really we designed it to be a playbook. So it could be a place that you go back, you read it. Oh, I want to listen to what Lori said. And by the way, I highly recommend you did. While we tried to capture what we thought were some of the nuggets and put them in this article, I would say that you really haven't learned Lori's scripting unless you listen to Script Palooza. And by the way, probably listen to it more than once or twice. Also a reminder, and actually I think I'll add it to the article, is that we transcribed Script Palooza. So you could both listen to it and you could click and download the transcript of it and study it. You know, at the end of the day, we want you to execute better. You know, we don't want to just talk at you and talk about topics. We want to give you the tools to make change, to improve your skills. So Jen or Michelle, do either one of you have something to weigh in on? And then, by the way, I'm going to go with you, Michelle, first, and the audience, whether you're on Facebook Live and you want to put a comment in Facebook Live, or whether you're in Zoom and you want to post a question, we'll come to you in just a minute. But Michelle, any comments or thoughts? You're on mute, Michelle. Or we lost you.
Hold on. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
We can.
So weird.
And we can see you.
We lost you again.
Okay,
We
can
heard
you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, so one of the things that is brilliant about her strategy is she's setting them up to tell them to get rid of any mail that comes in. But the other incredible thing that we were doing some scripting yesterday, and it was just, I don't know why in your brain you don't think about this until somebody says it, and it's like common sense. But it was, I'm going to call you on, you know, use your calendar, use your database on August 14th, because that's when you're eligible. You're 30 days away from being eligible for refinance. I'm going to go ahead and set up a call right now for, 4 o'clock. I'll give you a reminder heads up, but we'll talk about it then. Is that good for you? And then you've already got it in your calendar scheduled out, which is really cool. And then you've already got you're hopefully within that 6-month call or your annual call that you're going to do. So calendar it out, share it out, and then put a reminder to remind them a week beforehand. And again, just talking to your client database. Some of the statistics that are coming out is that we're probably going to be in a 3 to 4 year increase in interest rates. But most of the smarter people that I am are saying that 2020, 2021, we're actually going to see a dip in rates. So think about all the loans that you're doing now. You're going to be setting them up for refinances in 4 or 5 years. That's, a great way to look at forward income. And you want to make sure that you're staying in touch with your clients. With Amazon coming into the marketplace, these people are going to be after our databases, and they're going to be in front of these people in every way that they can. So it's our job as the originator and the loan advisor to keep in touch with your client so that they know that you're the one they call to, not Amazon.
Love that. Really, really good point. And by the way, that was one of the key concepts in the whole script playbook. Was key concept number 2. If you want to make yourself Amazon proof, you need to double down on your humanity. You need to boost your empathy, improve your communication skills, the services and advice experiences. And that all just comes down to really becoming this, high tech lender that is just delivering this ongoing value. So a huge, what I would just say, paradigm and key concept in optimizing conversion. Jen, anything you have to add to the conversation at this point?
Well, I think you guys are great. I don't think I have anything specific I want to add about the article, than while it addresses all of the scripts, I want to point out that a lot of your actionable items are also to get your system in place. So, we want to make sure that everyone's hearing that piece of it too, because we are a productivity group, right? And so we want to make sure that everyone is getting that piece in as well, that they're hearing it, that you got to get your systems down, because it's not enough to say that you think you're going to call your clients. for their annual mortgage review. You've got to have a system to do that. And so I would say to make sure that, if you're pressing your gas pedals on several things right now, one would be, firming up your scripting in a variety of areas, but the other would be to work on your systems, work on your business plan, and make sure that you've got all things running at the same time so that you're ready to combat anything that comes your way. And so it's not enough just to have great scripts and then not do a good service. So I just want to point out that, you mentioned that in here, but let's just make sure that we really got to work on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jim, we're getting some folks that are saying there's some challenges hearing you. I could hear you, but there was some tech issues. So, you might want to think about calling in or.
Let me, while I'm off, I'll put my mic on.
Okay, cool. So Todd, I'm going to pass it back to you in a minute. I want to say a thought, and then I want to remind the audience, we've got over 100 people in this mastermind. And while, we're the moderators and leaders of it, and we came prepared to lead, all of us could talk for an hour straight at you guys. But we really want you to ask us questions too, so that this is real-time valuable. One question came in and said, hey, has Amazon announced their plans yet? And no, there's no definitive plan, but we know that they're resourcing. We know that they're hiring people and they're resourcing around a strategy. And we also you just kind of know where the puck is going and what Amazon is doing, and given their strategy, they're going to have a mortgage strategy. What that strategy is, we can have that in a different call or do guesswork on it. I think the thing I want everybody to take away from is Amazon, just think, when I put it here, I really did it metaphorically. Whether Amazon themselves comes into the mortgage space, Amazon, look what they've done to retail. They are the technology company that does retail. And I don't know if anybody's been to a mall lately, but it's different. People, like consumer behavior has changed on how people purchase and acquire things. And I, don't know if anybody, takes cabs anymore. I certainly don't. I use Uber, and it's mind-boggling how fast consumer behavior has changed because of technology and transparency. And we know that technology and transparency is and has changed the mortgage space. So it's just a question of when does consumer behavior change? And again, the mortgage is so complex, especially the purchase mortgage. When someone's buying a home, there's so many different providers, vendors, problems, and it's not going to become Uber in 2 years, probably not even in 10 years, but it's changing. And that's why paradigm number one is we're not here to say that technology or Amazon is going to kill the loan officer, but the loan officer that leverages technology is absolutely going to clean the clock of the loan officer that doesn't. Todd, did you have something to add?
Well, you mentioned the malls, right? It was shocking because I went to 2 malls nearby us recently that, I'd been there to both of them, within maybe 6 to 12 months ago, and then just went back last month, and both of them were about half empty, which was a pretty significant change pretty quickly. And what I thought about is there's 2 malls that are nearby that are still thriving, and they're the specialty stores, right? So I think it's the specialization piece that is really important. How are you putting yourself out there in the marketplace? And I think that, exactly what you talk about here is what's going to differentiate you from everybody else, because in the end, those are the people that Amazon drove out of the business. And, Amazon, you're right. Transparency, I think, is the biggest thing that they're going to bring to it, which scares people, I think, because that's going to translate to margin compression potentially. So it'll be interesting to see what strategy they pick. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't really matter what we call it. In the end, if you're not looking at these strategies that you're talking about here, then you're probably not going to be in the business, unfortunately, down the road.
Yeah, or you're going to be in the business and you are choosing to, you got a race to run uphill with the wind at your face versus downhill with the wind at your back. And so let's do this. Let's transition, because I want to go through these 7 core strategies. Again, my recommendation for everybody is to read the article schedule a jam session to consume the content and become one with it, schedule a jam session to, do planning, do skill work, figure out how you can implement it. Let's go through these 7 strategies. And then also, please, if you got value from it, give it a like and share it with your friends. And remember, everybody, if you do have questions, light us up both in Facebook Live. If you're listening to the recording, post your questions below. We'll get to them. And in about 20 minutes, we'll transition this conversation and we'll focus on questions in our Facebook group. So strategy number 1, and when I was writing this, I started by just kind of strategy 1 and 2 is having them as like one thing, like instead of having 2, just having 1. And it was, train your realtor partner to refer you. And that's how we, in version 1 of this article is one thing. And then after I interviewed Danny last Tuesday, and then I also started reflecting on other interviews that I've had with top producers, you can't just go train your realtor how to refer you. You need to educate your realtor on how you're unique and better. By the way, in an experiential way. It's not just like saying, hey, I do this, that, and the other thing, and they're trained and they're educated. It was, I started thinking about, the best loan officers, they've actually, whether they brought the realtor into their office or they performed it at a coffee shop, they've actually, they know how their borrower experiences. They know the questions they ask. They know the total cost analysis that they get. They know, again, most realtors, they're not, they want borrowers educated, but they want borrowers to have a sense of urgency. They want borrowers to convert and pay the price they need to buy a home. And so I really broke these strategies up into 2 because I thought it was super important to delineate there is a difference between kind of core education that the loan officer understands your experience and how you're better. And then there's, hey, they are actually trained on how to do things. So by the way, I'm going to put that up on the screen. Scripts, the 7 scripts, educate your realtors so they understand your service and value, and train your realtors so that they tactically have a better script when they refer you. Todd, anything you want to add to that?
I think it's the biggest frustration that LOs have is what a poor job in general most agents do. And, in the end, I always say you have no one to blame but yourself. And I haven't listened to Danny's interview yet. Now I put that on my to-do list just a moment ago to listen because I think Danny is so great with scripts. But I always start off with, if you ask them how they want you to refer them, then naturally, because of reciprocity, they're going to ask you how they should refer you. So, always start by giving first. And to me, that's the easiest way to ease into that conversation. Danny probably said that because he's so good, but that would be my encouragement to all of you. If you're nervous about the conversation, it's just really likely for you to say, gosh, I really want to make sure I say the right things about you. What is it? How is it that you would want me to refer you when I'm referring you to my clients and friends?
Love it. And by the way, I just noticed the link in the article is not hyperlinked, hot linked. We'll fix that. But this is the interview. This was an interview last week with Danny, who I've interviewed, just countless times. But this one was just, kind of like I was in the final touches of the playbook. I had a draft of it. And when I interviewed him, it was kind of asking him questions that would help finish the playbook and get scripts. And then out of that interview, I also decided, let's break this into 2 steps. Let's kind of have a step for educating the realtor so that they emotionally and intellectually understand how you're unique and better. And then let's get them scripted around, hey, this is a great way to refer me. And by the way, it's not so that I can convert the loan and win more of your deals. It's here's how you should refer me, because it's going to make things go smoother for you. It's going to make your client more confident. Todd?
And I bet probably Jen or Michelle can answer it since, they're still in the day-to-day of the game. But I know when I was originating, I was showing a mortgage coach. I didn't really have a great scripted out process, but those of you who do have a great borrower experience that Dave was talking about, don't just tell them about it, show it to them, walk them through it. I know a lot of people who are taking the time to bring their agents through their experience, and that's convincing the agents that they should be sending them their clients, because then the agent actually can say, gosh, I went through that client experience of my loan officers and it was amazing. So don't forget to offer them that opportunity as well. And of course, your experience has to be pretty good then too.
Yeah, right. Michelle, anything to add to that? Call it those first two strategies. Michelle, you're muted.
I know, I'm getting all confused. Am I muted still? I think that everybody is right on. I can tell you I listened to what you sent me last night, Dave, and I was just listening to a couple of things, just refreshing my mind. I mean, and I watched the Darren Daily today. It was talking about don't quit, because right before you quit, your success is probably right around the corner. And that was really important to hear today, because, it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and the deals are more fierce in the competition. And I can't be distracted by this outside noise. And if I have a nice script that keeps me pretty grounded and I just stay with that no matter what, do what you do and don't worry about what other people are doing, I think you're going to have great success this year.
Michelle, or not Michelle, but Jen, anything to add to that?
Yeah. What came to my mind, and by the way, can you hear me better with my headset or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hear you great.
So I slow down to speed up. I think we're just so panicked right now that we're trying to figure out what is the best route to take. And I think if we slow down and really pull in these relationships with a handful of people that we need to have the relationship with, not with everybody. We're in a place now where you just can't be in a place where you're trying to get more and more relationships. You should already have those relationships, and now we're defining the relationships. We're going deeper with those. We're creating those richer relationships, as I've spoken about in the past. And now is the time to slow down with those relationships and have 1.5 to 2 hour meetings in your office, going over their business plan, your business plan, how the two can commingle, where their weaknesses are, and you can help them with where weaknesses are, in your process that they're looking for. But if, number 2 would train your realtors, with these 3 lines there about training your realtors. It's really, that whole thing can be days and days of realtor training, right? But I think if we slow down, really bring them into our offices, have a strong conversation with them, and I wouldn't say strong, but a conversation that is really been really caring, and it's from the heart. You're not have to worry about scripting with your realtors. It's just having a conversation with your realtors to help them understand that you'd like to help their business progress, for this next few years as well. So that's the only thing I'd like to say. That's, it's not a hard conversation, but it's a fun conversation. You have to plan it. It can't be coffee. It can't be drinks, cocktails.
So that reminded me, it triggered the conversation I had with Cindy Ertman this Tuesday. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time with Cindy's bio, just say, if you're a new loan officer, you're an experienced loan officer, everybody can learn just a tremendous amount from Cindy. I mean, she's an icon in our industry. And I interviewed her earlier in the month, and the whole interview was, what's her first meeting with a realtor like? And I'm just cliff notes from it. It really mimics what Jen just said. She has got a conversation structured about really connecting with people at an emotional level. And she talks about how she accelerates her relationships with agents. So listen to that. But then I did a part 2 with her, which was, okay, what do you do in your second meeting? Because she really has this 2-part way. And then it reminded me, there was someone who asked a question who said, hey, I've had, I don't know, I'm just gonna make up a number, 50 realtor meetings. And netting it out, Cindy's biggest advice, to your point, Jen, was go deep. Like, if you've met with that many realtors and you don't have X number of loans, it's not more realtors. It's a combination of meeting with the right people and going deeper with the people that matter. And so as a reminder, and we'll give you guys a homework assignment if you're kind of in that camp. This interview with Cindy was fantastic. And she even covered how she integrates Mortgage Coach into her second meeting, so really, really good interview, really powerful message. Todd, I want to throw a question at you because I think it's on point. And before we go through the other strategies here, a new loan officer chimed in Facebook Live, which, by the way, great job, new loan officer, for showing up, asking questions, engaging, and just was like, I'm overwhelmed. And I think whether it's a new loan officer who truly is getting a fire hose of, unconsumable content, or whether it's, someone that is just off goal and they're, you get hit with price compression, inventory issues, it's a fire hose. So what coaching advice do you have for people to chunk it down and make it executable? You're on mute, Todd. Guys, my leadership.
I love the question. I know, man. You know what? I was muting myself. That was bad. All right. So, I love the question. I think it's awesome. And Jen sort of alluded to it earlier. Really, it all comes down to you're going to have to time block and structure your day, because it is drinking through a fire hose. And I truly believe anyone who found this community early on is super lucky, because there is so much valuable information. And I think it's really kind of blocking and tackling. You've got to learn the basics first. And so just make sure you're spending time, but you could spend, the next 6 months watching every video on there and trying to figure out what to execute. And I think you just have to look at what is your number one need right now, and then focus on that for a few days or for a week, whatever that is. And then once you feel like you've got that down, then move on to the next one. Because in the end, you really have to be executing, right? So, if your number one need right now is to build up a CRM and a database, then don't get overwhelmed to shop for one. Just pick whichever one your company gave you, figure out how it works, and then get to work on it. You can see there's, plenty of videos and threads that talk about how people use them, and build that in there. If you need to get, new realtors, right? Dave just mentioned Cindy's interview, right? Jen did a number of calls on that where she walked through what her realtor conversation is. Listen to a couple of those. You can't listen to every one, but, pick 2 or 3 and take your best ideas, then create yours, and then start calling realtors. And so it's really just a matter of that prioritization of what is most important to you right now. And then setting aside the time and then executing. But there's going to be days where, for me, when I'm looking at my time block, I've got on time set, and it's typically set in 30 minutes to 90-minute blocks. And I set that time, and oftentimes I'm still cranking. But if I got another commitment to myself, then I have to stop and move on to the next thing to execute and put it into play. So, that's probably the shortest version of it that I can give, but ultimately I think it's really critical.
Yeah, no, good point. And good reminder on the interview that I did, I don't know, it's a month ago, maybe 5 or 6 weeks ago, stronger realtor relationships with Jen Duplessis, another incredible lesson. So there's a lot of value. My thought is, as a manager and coach, it's everybody, myself included, should be at least watching one Mortgage Coach interview a week. There's enough value in there that even if you're closing 100+ loans a year and you're killing it, you're always learning, you're always getting better. I personally I have to consume an hour a day. That's just what my mind and my that's what I need to be my best. If I'm not, whether it's a video, whether it's Bill Hart's new book, I gotta be in consumption mode for an hour a day to just be my best. And then given my role at Mortgage Coach from a leadership role, I need to create content for an hour a day. Now, every loan officer doesn't need to hour of consumption, hour of creation. Although if I was a loan officer today, I probably would be creating content to lead realtors. I'd be creating content to generate leads and create relations, get more business from my past customer. So, me personally, if I was executing as an operator in the business today, it would be, what can I put in my head to make me perform better, tactically, strategically, and then what can I create so that I'm building, I'm this digital mayor of the marketplace that I serve. And then I would spend, again, I'm not going to work 8-hour days. So 2 hours of leadership and creation and 8 hours and whatever of execution. So, and by the way, Todd didn't say, But for that new loan officer, great job. You bought Mortgage Coach. I know for a fact you will be served by that. But I would say win by noon. Become part of the win by noon community, you know, and I'm not just saying that because I don't get anything if you buy Todd's book, but that is the playbook for being productive. That is the playbook for prioritizing your life and your business. So you become part of those two communities. And I don't want to take away from anything that Jim's doing and other coaches are doing, but I think you need to have a telephone to kill it. You know, have a good smartphone that you execute well with. You need to have a CRM so that you're keeping in touch with folks. But you need to have Mortgage Coach. You need to have Win by Noon. So check it out. So let's hit a couple more strategies, guys. Let's wrap this up within 7 minutes because I do want to make sure we answer questions that were posted in the group. So strategy 3 was when you're meeting with that client, you have a script that it's not just, you know, and I've been very intentional with my interviews. Some people call it, and Danny calls it his professional expectation scripts. Some loan officers call it my value prop script. But you know, you've got a way that you position yourself. And all I would say is make sure you position yourself that not only this is why I'm going to help you get this loan and close this house on time and make a great decision, but this is how I'm going to manage your mortgage over the rest of your life. You know, so your promise at the point of sale is a client for life promise. And the interview I did with Tim Brahim, you know, is just, you know, money. Watch it, check it out, nail your scripting. Every single lead needs to get a total cost analysis, not because I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach, but if you got to deliver visual value to people in the marketplace today, you got to help people close loans faster than ever. And that's just going to continue to compress. And you need to help borrowers go from confusion to clarity faster than ever. And if you could just become a master of confusion to transaction and compress that, you'll kill it. And there's no better way than the total cost analysis. Number 5 was interesting. You know, I didn't actually know that this was going to make my playbook. This was just one of those things where I'm super curious when I interview people. And I just noticed this trend that when I'm interviewing these people, they've got a lot of 5-star reviews and they're being very intentional about how they're capturing, collecting, organizing, promoting their reviews. And I also started just really putting myself in the shoes of a consumer in today's market. And if I was going to meet with a loan officer, I'd Google them, I'd check them out on Facebook, and if they had reviews, and even before I go to restaurants now, I check it out on, you know, Yelp. You know, I would be looking at that. And so it just came to my mind that, you know what, you want to optimize conversion, you need to optimize your 5-star reviews. And by the way, obviously you need to deliver a service experience that creates 5-star reviews. I did do a shout out to Social Survey just because, you know, they're just coming up so often in the marketplace when I talk to it. And I really like the team over there. Again, I have no financial interest in the company, but they're executing incredibly well. So 5-star reviews are a strategy. I did do a shout out for a specific vendor, but there are other great vendors. You know, I know Stratmore has a great product at the enterprise level, and stay tuned. I think this is going to be like CRM. You know, in another year, people are going to go, what's the best CRM? And there's a list, and many of them partner with us, and I am a fan of many of them. And I think this is going to be, what's the best reputation management solution? And there's going to be some, but you know, have a strategy, and the best one is the one that you use. Two more strategies, and then we'll go to questions. Number 6, you got to start doing annual reviews, and you need to set the expectation right after you close the loan. And so I actually didn't see number 6 making the list. I thought it was just going to be 6 and 7 were the same, you know, do annual reviews. But really, I came to this conclusion that, you know what, you gave this great service experience, you got a 5-star review. Now, if you gave them an annual review within a month of closing, and just kind of reminded them that, hey, you told me your 5-year goal was X. When you actually start doing the annual reviews, they're going to be better. You know, Kelly Zitlow's doing this. Churchill Mortgage has actually automated this so that automatically all of their customers get a mortgage coach annual review at the close. Plus, they've automated the annual review. So I felt like it's not one strategy, it's two. It's deliver it within 30 days of close and deliver it every year afterwards. So we got 20 minutes left of the call. Todd, anything to add before we transition to, you know, just Q&A on the group?
You know, I'm feverishly making notes of ideas. I love that idea of number 6, the whole idea of doing it at closing, because that's just, it's just a new one to me. I haven't really heard people doing that consistently, but what a better way to set them up right away, because you know that they're going to get all those solicitations of just weird stuff right after their loan closes. So they're already going to start getting solicitations. So again, you're setting up that expectation with a little bit of reinforcement that, hey, I'm here for you. So, I think they're all great ideas, and goes back to sort of where do you want to start, right? You don't need to, you're not going to be able to execute all 7 tomorrow, but you can execute one of them next week and have it be a excellent system quickly, and then work on executing the next one. I think that's really what it's all about.
Beautiful. So everyone, I do want to, ask you, if you read it and you get value, like it, just click that little button right there, and share this with your mortgage friend. Whatever channel you execute. If you execute on LinkedIn, put it in LinkedIn. If you do social and Facebook, share it. But do help us get the word out. One of the reasons why I commit time to doing the Friday Mastermind and all the education I do, it's just to expand the impact that we make at Mortgage Coach. Help more loan officers do the right things more often. So again, best way to say thank you is to give us a like and share it. Michelle, anything you want to add before we transition to Q&A?
Hold on. Sorry, I don't know why I'm having so much computer issues today.
Hey, we didn't have to tell you to mute. Unmute.
Okay, I know. I'm just having so many challenges today. I love the annual reviews. You know how much I'm a big fan of those, because I use them more to show the clients not only where their interest rate stands in comparison to where the market is right now, but I also show them the value add that they've increased in their property values, and I turn that into a rate of return. So it kind of re-emphasizes that I'm not your rate person, I'm your financial advisor, and showing you that you made a great investment last year. Your rate of return on a $10,000 down payment on my FHA clients, that their property values are now worth $50,000 more. That's a great ROI, and I compare that to what the stock market's doing. So I'm very deliberate in my message to them. I would say make sure in your annual reviews you're deliberate on the message that you want to send. Again, I don't focus too much on where the interest rates are. I focus on so much on what they've gained as value in their asset and their collateral.
Awesome. Great feedback. So let's transition to questions. And Jen, I'm gonna respond to a question, and I'm gonna give you the first shot at from the community here of doing it. So I am going to go to a question that was submitted, let me pull it up here, by Luke. And by the way, shout out to Luke. This is the second time where he's either used Facebook Live or video to ask the community a question. So great use of video, and so far you've asked 2 really good questions. And by the way, there are no bad questions, so if you have questions, ask them. I just think that he's asked a couple questions that are on a lot of people's mind, and just to summarize, in this particular case, he was like, I think he's about a $20 million a year producer, so he's doing great, but he wants to do more. And then by the way he asked the question, I get the feeling like he is being a loan officer. He is spending all of his time doing loans, and he wanted to know, hey, to get to the next level, and for all you big loan officers out there, which by the way, Luke, $20 million a year and the volume you're doing, you're a big loan officer. But he's kind of saying, hey, for everybody's doing $100 million in production, You know, for folks that are doing 200 transactions a year, how are you doing it? You know, like, are you spending your time in the transaction, or are you a marketer and someone else is doing the loans? Now, I do want to shine a light on the fact that Rick Shear, $100 million producer, video response. Rick, you demand. That was super cool.
Love the video response. Video response is sweet.
Right? And then I do want to shout out like Wally Ellerberry. Again, we have an awesome community. $100 million producer. And by the way, Wally, you know, if you listen to any of the interviews I've done with him, he kind of tells his story, how he doubled his business, you know, 3 different times to get there. So Luke, I mean, check out my interviews with Wally. And Wally, you know, he gave you, you know, like a 4-minute read here. So Jen, I don't know if you listened to this, but how would you answer that question for Luke?
Read my book.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, read my book, Launch. Thanks, Dave. I see he's looking for it feverishly.
Yeah, right?
I should probably have it always prepared, right? Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, so, I'm a huge advocate of this. This is all about, my whole book is broken into 3 sections called Finder, Minder, and Grinder. And so, and by the way, I love Luke's questions because, he always is vulnerable. And I love that because other people, not everybody, I'm not saying that, but he's so vulnerable, and it really gives us good content to talk about, because I think it's something that everybody else is experiencing. He's just the one who's willing to ask it. But in the book, and it doesn't matter about the book, but Finder, Minder, and Grinder is really important because we have 3 roles as loan officers. We're the finder, so we're the rainmaker. We're out there, meeting people and trying to bring the business in, fill the funnel. And then when it comes in, we're the minder, right? And we're babysitting the deals that we're bringing in. And then we're also having to grind out expense reports and, flyers, if that's what you're doing, presentations, those types of things, answering emails. And so in the early stages of being a loan officer, we're going to have to do all 3 of those until we, get to the point where we can afford to bring someone else on. But for me personally, I'm definitely the finder. Honestly, I have not pulled credit in years. I haven't ran an LP or DU in years, and I don't even know if I'm probably sure I could do it if someone gave me the password. I know I'd be fine with it, but I haven't done that in years. But I am very tactical on reading them, and I'm very tactical on understanding LP and DU. So it's not that you can negate your knowledge. You still have to be extremely knowledgeable on your products and on structuring loans and the semantics of CFPB, et cetera. But for me, I'm out of the deal. I'm completely out of the deal. Where I have my highest and best use, and what I do best is helping people understand the process that I put together, the PLP that I put together. They're not buying us, they're buying the experience they get because of the people that we have hired to ensure that experience is exactly what we want. They're also it's not us, it's the process that we have, knowing, getting to a point where your realtor can say that without you, their business doesn't do as well, because we're so good at communicating and ensuring that everything gets done. We just closed a loan yesterday, $1 million deal. And, I love what my realtor said to me. I just love working with you because I know everything's just going to go through and on time all the time. And so they're buying your process just as much as they're buying you, but you have to build it so that they'll come, right? So that's how I would answer the question is, know your role and work in your lane and build a great process so that anybody else can come in and work in their lane to fulfill the entire client experience.
Love it. So most importantly, I just want to encourage great questions and great answers. So, Luke, thank you for asking a great question in a very emotional, compelling way, in a very vulnerable way. And huge thank you. Also, Todd Bookspan put an answer in here. So, this is what makes our community awesome, whether it's the call that we're on right now with 100+ mortgage professionals, or whether it's all the people that are in this group. asking great questions, sharing great answers. Great job, guys. Success is a team sport. Converting borrowers at the highest level is a team sport, and great marketing is a team sport. So let's keep playing it together. Todd, is there anything you want to add to that question, or is there another question from the community that you'd like to shine a light on and talk about?
Well, I mean, I think Jen answered the question great. So I would say definitely endorse buying her book. Of course, that's a great suggestion from there. But I mean, I think in the end, it's always going to be different for everyone. And so you've got to figure out where you can start. But, kind of Jen, nailed it, right? I mean, there's no reason that if you're producing at a high enough level that you can't get someone to come in alongside of you and do the things like pulling credit that really aren't your highest and best use of your time. So, you never want to, you always start there, right? You always had to do all of those things, but at some point you've got to figure out what it is you shouldn't be doing and get rid of those as quick as you can afford to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I'm going to try to find another question. I love Todd submitted a question. Has anyone actually competed against a Rocklet type mortgage? And talk about, what you did and how you did it. So by the way, Todd's looking for feedback there. I've been seeing kind of a new trend in the community where folks are sharing how they've, I've done over 1,000 TCAs, I've done over 500 total cost analysis. And first of all, I love that because, every time you do a total cost analysis, let's face it, that is you serving a family at the highest level. You can't do a total cost analysis if you didn't ask great questions and then deliver something strategic and valuable. Internally at Mortgage Coach, we celebrate loan officers when they get past 100. Well, first of all, we celebrate the first 20 because we're like, hey, person's trained. They got 20 TCAs. They know how to do it. They're trained. 100, we're like, power user. They've done enough that they can mentor other loan officers within their organization. 500, we're like, wow, that person's killing it because they had 500 families to serve and they delivered 500 families in an incredibly significant way. 1,000, that's like rock star, Mortgage Coach rock stars. And by the way, we have hundreds of them. So actually, when you think of 500, we have thousands of them. So when you do pass those Mortgage Coach milestones, feel free to, throw it out there because we're community. We want to hear it from you. I've done so many calls on CRM. I'm not going to jump on that one right now. Todd, are there any here that you think we should hit or any questions in the system that you think we should go over?
I think with 6 minutes, it's going to be hard to jump on, something really big. I know you had mentioned database strategies before, so maybe next Friday that could be something that we focus on.
Well, let's do this. We will focus next Friday on database strategies, but let's just rapid fire. We got 5 minutes. Todd, since you brought it up, you go first. Give us 2 database strategies, and you got a minute to tell the community, here's 2 ideas to monetize your database. Go.
All right. So, of course, I'm totally unprepared for it. I think the thing I'm seeing right now, because my own team is doing it, and I'm seeing some realtors do it, is a movie event. It's not the most expensive, but it's not the least expensive, but you've got an opportunity to invite your people to a movie. The Incredibles 2 is coming out, great family movie. You can put, 100 people in there and it's going to be a great opportunity, snap pictures. And, there's so much else that you can do with it, but reaching out to them, I think it's just really figure out what it is you can send them today that might be of value. And, in the end, we know that people hit delete when you send stuff. So if you're going to actually use your database, what is it that you can send to them that they might actually care about? And I'm going to throw in like 2.5 is just pick up the phone and call them.
Okay, cool. Michelle, 1 minute or less. Give us 1 or 2 database strategies. Tick, tock.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Oh, God. Dude, I'm having one of those days. Database strategies. Always do a 45-day call after the closing to remind them that they're going to get a lot of junk mail and to throw it away, and remind them about their first payment And then I would say your first year, I always do a 6-month call to make sure everything's going great. And also because we right now are doing a lot of cross-collateral loans or loans where we're having to put them in we call them two-step loans right now, where we're putting them in a loan that they're going to have to get out of in 6 months. So that 6-month marker is key on that first year. And then obviously your annual review.
Boom.
Always call.
And by the way, folks, after this call, I'm going to post a question just saying, what are your best database strategies? And next Friday, we'll make that the opening topic, and we'll really bake the cake. But Jen, 1 minute, best strategy.
Okay, well, Michelle took mine because that's exactly what I do. We do exactly the same thing, Michelle. Client appreciation party. The same thing with the movie theater. I would just say a client appreciation party. We have one every year here on my property, and we have over 150 of our clients here, and it is absolutely fantastic, and it always brings business, And by the way, it only cost me $300 for 150 people, so you can private message me if you want to know how that gets done.
Beautiful. So my idea is the same idea. I'm just going to say it over and over until 90% of the referral-based mortgage loan officers do it. Annual review. If you just did that one thing, you have Amazon-proofed your mortgage. You will close more loans, and you will have more referrals for your partners. So I'm just going to keep saying the same thing. So closing thought, and then I'll go round robin to the team. Connor Cullen out of Alaska is killing it. He was referred to me by Bill Hart. He's, millennial loan officer, tons of energy, great attitude, killing it on social media, killing video, and he's going after open houses. So it's Friday. If you are supporting agents in open houses, do digital, paperless open houses. If you haven't listened to the Nicole Solari interview, where she talks about how she's literally getting 80%, she's turning 80% of the people that come through the open house into a lead. And then her conversion on converting them from lead into home sold is mind-boggling. So check out Connor. I do want to do a call on this. He's really focused on this, stand, this kiosk. I do want to remind folks, the kiosk is great. And I think, it's just like you're golfing. Sometimes you need a driver. Sometimes you need a putter. Sometimes you need a 9-iron. I want to make sure everybody realizes that doing a digital house doesn't mean you have to have a kiosk. Think of that as a driver. Sometimes you want to drive it and you want to do it. But you know what? Sometimes just having an iPad on a kitchen counter is what you need to win the game. But he's killing it with these digital, paperless open houses, arming realtors with kiosks. Follow his story in our group. Todd, 1 minute left in the call. I'll let you close it out.
Well, like I said, it was great to be back with everyone. Do want to give a quick plug for one other book. You already mentioned it, Dave. Bill Hart's White Collar Warrior. I've seen such great conversation about it. I'm only partway into it, but I am digging it already. I know the guy who's not mentioned, but page 73 right there for all you LOs looking to figure out how to grow your business is the game changer page for me, but I haven't really read the whole thing yet. I can't wait to finish it up. I'm a slow reader, and I was reading 2 other books, and I put them aside because I just couldn't wait to read Bill's book. But, I just always want to say thanks, right? I mean, I love being here with you, Jen, Michelle, every Friday, and then the rest of you who join us. I think it's just amazing community. Love the conversation we're having online, and always love to get here and be face-to-face with everyone as well.
So,
Hey, real quick. Oh, I was going to say, what about Mastermind next week? I'm going to be there. Go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to close out on that, but I did want to ask Todd. Todd, if you could take a picture of that page and just kind of take what you said and put that into our Facebook group so we can, maybe say, hey, this is my big takeaway. What's yours? But let's take that to a bigger group. And then, Jen, I was going to close on Mastermind, but you do it.
Okay, well, good. So I'll be at Mastermind. I know, Dave, you will be. Todd, Michelle, I'm not sure. Are you guys? I don't know.
Sadly,
No?
I'm not. I'm going to be in some training.
Okay. Well, I'll be there only on Friday. But if you're going and you see me, I'll be on a panel, I think at 10:30 in the morning. But if you see me, please come up and say hi. I'd love to, take some of our relationships offline. They're online now. Let's take them offline. I'd love to have the opportunity to meet you. And I think Dave and I are going to try to be on the same screen that day. Maybe.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
I don't know. That is the goal.
Not possible, may not be possible. He's got a lot of things going on.
Well, two things. So I mimic what Jen said. If you do see it in Mastermind, give me a high five. Say, hey, I'm part of the Mastermind group. You know, I know we'll be at the Circle Bar, you know, in the middle of the place a lot. I am going to be emceeing the executive event on Wednesday. So, you know, tell your managers or your executives, we need to integrate with a mortgage coach. I am going to be, and I've got a pretty full schedule, but I still have some openings in my suite with either me or my team. By the way, we bought a case of Bill's books, maybe even a couple cases, and that's going to be our giveaway. So any executives that come through our suite are going to get one of Bill Hart's new books. So anyways, but you know, most importantly, just come up. I do knuckles, so if you see me, you know, go like that. What's up, Savage? And Jen, I look forward to seeing you, and I'm super sad that Michelle and Jen or Michelle and Todd aren't going to be there.
Me too.
All right, guys.
One day I'm going to meet you in person, Michelle.
Hey, this call is a wrap. Hey, really appreciate everybody. Jen and Michelle, have an awesome weekend.
See you guys later.
See y'all.
Bye.